Hello there, wonderful people, and happy new moon to you all. And I'm gonna just blast off with this three-card reading that I've just done with my community group, which has been a beautiful session. We've got three quite dark cards, and there's a little bit of repetition from last month's new moon reading as well with one of these cards. But this dark cards, we're not going to turn into a dark reading. We're going to see if we can lighten it up a little bit. Here they are. The first one of this more delicate message for this new moon is the Five of Pentacles here, with the two type crippled / beggar type figures walking past the church in the snow. The other two cards that came up were these two, the lovely devil reversed, and another five, the Five of Cups. So the devil reversed we all know quite well, and the Five of Cups is the one that came up last month. And so let's take a look at this reading, because there's a bunch of different messages that might come up here, and we want to just find something that's concise and useful and that works for us as far as where we are in our life. So the first card is going to be the card that really brings in the deeper message, or highlights what needs to be looked at more than anything else. And so with this card, this is the card of low self-esteem, of lack of self-worth, of poor me mentality, of victim mentality, which is the biggest aspect of this card. And that general feeling of I'm not good enough, that general feeling of, hey, I lack something in myself. I am missing something, that I'm not good enough to go into that church. This is the part of us that tells us that we are not worthy enough to make lots of money, because this is a pentacle card, so there's going to be some money stories here that will be valuable to look at. Money stories that are going to dictate the amount that we are able to receive, and this is going to be hidden because of this devil reverse card. There's going to be some unconscious programs that might want to surface at this time and become more seen, and that want to be acknowledged, surrounding how we relate to our own wealthiness, our own healthiness as well, but our own worthiness is a big story. So it's something that we all need to do on a regular basis, is have a check-in as far as how we are towards money, and how we relate to it, and how worthy we really think we are. The majority of the people on this planet live and experience different degrees of lack, of not having enough, or always wanting more, and feeling like that we are not worthy enough. There's going to be sometimes a guilt and shame around privilege, around having money there. But this card speaks a lot about the mentality and the manifestation in our life of lack a lot of the time. Now, this might be lack of wealth on one front, but it also might be lack of health as well. So this is going to be reflected in illness stories that come up, where we don't feel strong enough, when we don't feel healthy enough in our lives, when there are illness stories that come up that we have not managed to own properly, we've not managed to take responsibility for. Now, illness stories are the trickiest ones to take responsibility for, because we're taught very very clearly that illnesses aren't always our fault, or illnesses we don't have much control over, or illnesses we're not that responsible for because somebody can just give us a cold, or we can have some genetic story. But illnesses have something to lesson, and have some lessons for us to learn, and they're great teachers. I've made a whole series of videos on the channel which you can find about illness being a good teacher for us. But this is a card which comes up and speaks a little bit about that. If our health isn't as great as we want, or if we lack health or we lack wealth, then there is definitely some type of poor me mentality that's below the surface that is part of the energy that's creating or manifesting what we might experience as lack. And sometimes that lack is purely an idea that we focus on not having enough, and it's that tendency and that addiction that we have on looking at the dark side and looking what we don't have instead of looking at what we do have, looking at what we feeling oh gosh, poor me, I'm missing all of this, and feeling bad because of that, instead of turning around and saying, hey, what do I do have a lot of? What can I celebrate? What does make me feel great? And so sometimes that lack mentality is a very simple addiction to focusing on what is missing in our lives, instead of focusing on what is successful and wonderful and great in our lives. And even when things aren't going well and it seems like there's not too much to be grateful for, there's always something that we can find gratitude towards. I had a little conversation with somebody a while back who was speaking about, yeah, but in my situation, I find it difficult to be grateful about things when things aren't going well. And we get this story, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg in this dynamic? And we can ask ourselves this question: what comes first? Is it your idea or your belief that things aren't going well and then things don't go well? Or do things not go well and then coming from that, birthed from that, there's the reinforcement or the idea that, yes, well, obviously things aren't good for me because look. And I think there's a miscomprehension about the way the law of karma and manifestation work in this world. The energies that we hold on to unconsciously will manifest in form. When I say the energies of belief, the beliefs of certain programs, the energies surrounding certain ideas and certain belief systems that we buy into as a collective consciousness as far as this world is concerned, but also as an individual consciousness as far as our personal programming is concerned. These beliefs create an energetical field which will manifest in a representation of those beliefs in the real world and in real world experience. And then we will see those experiences, and they will usually strengthen the beliefs that we hold. So if I'm telling myself I'm not good enough, we will manifest an experience which proves that to us. And in that proof, we'll look at that experience that happened yesterday that showed me how not good enough I genuinely was, and I made a mistake, and I mucked up, and I did something wrong, and I'll look back and go, oh, well, yeah, I told you so. Yeah, I'm right in not being good enough. So that strengthens the idea that I should focus on that more, that is a reality. Now, when it comes to lack and when it comes to unworthiness, if we choose to focus on how unworthy we are, then we're vibrating in a field of unworthiness, and the world will not just look like that, well, our experience will not just reflect that unworthiness, but when we look out through this auric field of lack, all we'll tend to see is lack. and we'll see it in other people, and we'll see it all over the world. So this is a victim mentality, and it's a victim mentality which is us telling ourselves that we are inherently not good enough. And when I say inherently, that's where the victim comes in. So it's not my fault that I'm not good enough. It's not my fault that I was born with these physical stories. It's not my fault that, and it's a tricky one, because the fault thing comes with guilt and blame. And so normally when we choose to take responsibility, it means we're going to be taking responsibility for who we are, and then that equals, well, we must be guilty, then we must have something to blame ourselves about. And taking responsibility doesn't have to come with blame and shame. They're going to be obstacles that we have to overcome in order to really own the responsibility in our lives. Because if we're afraid of feeling guilty, because the guilt comes with that responsibility, then we're never going to actually fully embrace that responsibility. It's always going to be, no, but I don't want to feel the shame, I don't want to feel the guilt. And so instead we'll avoid taking responsibility, and we'll put the blame on something else out there in the world. And it's because of this oppression here, it's because of this abusive stories here that I am the way I am, that I don't have the opportunities that I should have. It's because of my skin color, it's because of my sex, it's because of my age, it's because of all these stories that I can't be enough. And we will not really own that actually not feeling enough is an idea, and it's a belief that's very ingrained in our subconscious, but something that we can change and shift and move out of. We can create a different belief. We can create a different pattern. And the devil asks us to own that honestly, to really get naked and be a little bit more conscious about how worthy or unworthy we feel, to be a little bit conscious about blaming the world and having a victim mentality. There's a lot of that going on in the world today, where we are promoting blame of the outer world upon our own hardship, and it's not like the outer world isn't a co-creator of our hardship, but if we give the responsibility to the outer world for our own personal manifestation, then we're not really in control of our lives, and we are going to be powerless on many fronts, and we're going to promote powerlessness. And we're going to promote victimhood, which means we're going to share the message with the world that we are all subject to this, some tyrannical setup, and we have to rebel against this tyrannical setup. But this tyrannical setup is not out there, it's in here. This is where the only abusive patterns that we can actually directly influence actually are. And it's in this influence of changing our beliefs and changing the way we feel and the way we think that will take us away from any concept of not being good enough and any concept of not being worthy enough. And I can't pretend to be there myself, but I did bump into this story just recently of feeling, of encountering this unconscious program that, hey, I need to be somebody different in order to have the material wealth that I really like. I need to be a different person. I need to learn to be a different person in order to be worthy enough to earn lots of money or to be really healthy. And then I just thought to myself, actually, it's a bit of a twisted way of looking at things, because in reality I just need to be myself more in order to have all the health that I need. I need to be myself openly and lovingly in order to maybe earn all the money that I want to earn, instead of trying to be different. Now, in that process of being myself, will I change? I probably will change, but because what I'm manifesting in my life might not be who I really am. So that quest for being more of yourself is a different type of quest of, oh, I need to change myself in order to be a better person, in order to have better health, in order to have more money, etc., etc. And it's a flip way of looking at things. And it's, instead of feeling and focusing on what I'm missing and what am I missing, what am I not good at, what am I failing at, what is wrong with me, instead of focusing on what is wrong with me, let's focus about what is right with me. Let's focus on who I really am. And in that quest for who we truly are in our lives, we'll gravitate more towards those patterns, those programs, those habits that are healthier for us. And we'll gravitate away from this idea that I need to really work at changing myself. No, the change is going to come naturally. The change will be like as you walk consciously towards understanding what is fundamentally good for you, what is fundamentally feels right according to your heart, you'll just drop some things and you'll leave them behind. And as this upside down devil, the chains will fall off on their own. And as they fall off on their own, we'll find that we've changed without wanting to change. We've shifted into abundance, we've shifted into a greater level of health just by this quest of being more true to yourself instead of trying to change yourself. Have a fantastic new moon, have a fantastic week, month, and all the rest. Love to hear your comments, and mucho amor del corazón. Take care.